So there's your PSA for the day. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Don't be an idiot like some of us. I'm using some fancy valve covers. I'm not a fan of coil packs sitting on top of valve covers just purely for the aesthetics. Those are the original ones. The nice ones will go on a bit later. But I bought some brackets off of Amazon and moved the coil packs up to the inner fender wells on both sides. MSD 8.5 millimeter wires, kind of figuring where I want them loosely, of course, and then we'll mark them and get them cut. You can see for both sides, kind of have done the same thing. Where we want to go, that one's routed better than the other side, but I want them to be somewhat consistent with side by side. So I'm going to scuff it. It comes pre-scuffed in several places, and so it doesn't look fantastic in my book. I'm just going to scuff it up, and I'm going to prime it, and I'm going to paint it black so that it matches the motif that I am looking for under the car. Just going to use a Scotch-Brite, scuff it up good, spend a lot of time taping, and then shoot this thing with some paint. So I know I've said that projects like these teach patience, and they're wonderful to teach patience, but sometimes you lose patience. And I got to my wit's end the other day. I think tomorrow's the day that we're going to turn the key on this and see if we can get it going for the first time. And I've been struggling with the intake. I've got the Holley mid-ram on it now. I started with the low ram, and it was just too low. Wasn't getting the clearance I needed. That's on me. I jumped up to the mid-ram, and I got really, really close enough that I thought I had it. And then by the time the new radiator came in and I got it into place, I really just didn't have enough clearance to make that 90 off the throttle body and get into a cold air intake. So I did something I should have done from the very beginning, and I joined a forum and found a gentleman on there named Scott in Arkansas. I joined the Tri-5 forum, and this guy does it for a living. He knows everything. And I sent him an email, and he immediately responded and said, give me a call. And I gave him a call. had emailed him a photo of what I was dealing with, and he immediately, within 10 minutes, was like, okay, you've got truck accessories, you need a truck intake as opposed to a car intake, which the Rams, both those Rams are car intakes. If you go with a truck one, that'll bring it up even higher. I'm 2 Rams into this thing already. I couldn't return the first one, so I'll have to sell that separately. I couldn't just fathom going and buying another one. And he mentioned there's a company out there that makes a spacer that adds an inch to the Ram, and it's called ITC Billet. And I called ITC. They said, yep, we've got them in stock, and they are in my home state of Kansas, and sent me this. We, of course, paid for it, and it showed up today. So I'm going to bolt that on now. Another thing I learned was I had one MAF sensor, and I decided to take that one back, and I got the actual setup that is on the trucks, which is about a 3.5-inch diameter as opposed to the 4 that I was going to use. That shrunk it down a little bit for clearance, and then I grabbed a 90-degree rubber fitting that comes off of the throttle body. Obviously 90 degree, it takes a hard cut to the driver's side over here, but it also reduces it from 4 inches down to 3.5, so that we can get in a little bit more room and also get in the new MAF sensor. So everything should bolt up. It's still going to be tight, but I think it's going to fit. So that's what we're up to now. It's all torqued up. You can see the spacer there. My son and I talked about it. We decided to keep it aluminum because the engine is aluminum, and it kind of breaks up some of that black. And if it starts to discolor over time, obviously we can pull it and repaint it. So it's kind of a look of everything right now. Radiator's in. It's a new radiator, Champion, and it's made for this car, so it fit right in with no problem. Excuse me. AC cooler is in, and the trans cooler is in. Really tight. Had to do a little finagling. Had to set the radiator back a little bit to help with the clearance because of the electric fans that are down there. But I think we're going to be good. So now, currently priming the engine with this Melling primer kit. It goes back into the back there where the sensor goes. You take that out and you put a fitting in. And what you're looking for is, see the oil on this one coming down. That's what you're looking for. And it's very slowly just coming out. You can see the back two have already done it. And it's just working its way up through the system, and you got to check for that. And once you've got all that done, we know we're good to go. So it is the night before. We're going to try to start this thing. I just bolted on the cold air intake and the spacer for the fuel injection system, and I am completely nervous. I don't know what's going to happen. It's in one of those TV shows where they just cut through and boom, everything runs. I fully expect we'll have fuel leaks somewhere because I haven't pressure tested the system yet. I just put gas in it maybe 5 minutes ago. But I'm going to hold off until tomorrow because I think a couple of the guys want to come by. And I probably won't sleep much tonight because I'll be nervous that I'll turn the key and nothing will happen, which is, of course, something that is a strong possibility, and we'll just have to figure it out. But it's ready to go. I can show how everything's looking under here. It's D-Day tomorrow. So it's start day, which is we're renaming it Crank Day. I had a couple wiring issues, my fault, just with the accessory versus crank. I had one of the wires in the wrong position. Got that corrected, and still can't get it to crank. We checked with the neutral safety switch, and that all seems to be right. The guy who built the harness has been a phenomenal help, and he said if we remove the starter relay and jump a couple wires that it should crank, and it will do that. So you can hear it crank. Which is awesome. We have cranking. But we don't have fuel pump until after you're done cranking. And obviously we need the fuel pump for when it is trying to start. So we don't know what that is. We're going to keep playing with it, but I did want to prove that it will crank. And now we just got to figure out how to make everything else work. One step at a time. All right, we're back to wiring and trying to figure out the start. This is not the way it'll stay. This is all temporary stuff just to see if things are jiving now, if you will. But I was told on these 55, 56 Bel Airs that you have to remove, obviously, the old wiring, but then you have to do a jump between a couple terminals. And I had not done that. So we're thinking that this will allow us to turn the key and at least get it to crank without removing the relay. So that's what is next. So today's update on the let's get this car fired up on the LS swap is we've got everything wired right. We can turn the key and we can get it to crank. And you can hear it want to start, but it's not starting yet. Something else to figure out, but we're getting close. All right, so once we got this thing started and running, it ran all right, but Dylan noticed real quick, that's a tuner, he noticed that it was dumping way too much fuel, and we had to get a different set of injectors in there, so we put a set of stock injectors in, and that was perfect. So it ran pretty well. Ran well enough that over the next couple months, I drove it. I babied it, but I drove it, and I put 500, 600, 700 miles on it probably. Kept my foot out of it because whenever I put my foot in it, it would lurch and buck, and it drove me nuts. So Dylan was out of town on business, being impatient. I wanted somebody to get on it quick and figure out the tuning aspect. And my buddies that have cars that go really fast in straight lines for short distances told me about a company near me, Port Sheldon Auto, and they're kind of the go-to for all the guys that are drag racing with LS cars. So I called them, made an appointment, they got me in quick, and they were great. They immediately noticed that the cold air intake was too short. It was still in the engine compartment, and it needed to be really pulling much colder air, so they pushed it through the firewall, put the filter right out in front of the front tire, and that took care of that. They threw it on the dyno. The dyno pushed out 353 horse was the reading to the wheels, which puts it at 415, 420-ish to the tires. I got it back, drove it hard, and it was good. And then when my tank went down in gas some, and I put my foot in it, it lurched and bucked again. Called them up, said, hey, what's going on with this? And they go, you know, it didn't do that on the dyno, so I bet you have your original gas tank. I said, yeah, it's the original gas tank. And they said, change that gas tank out for a modern one that has baffles internally, and that will take care of you. Sure enough, I ordered up a tank, I installed it, I ordered a tank that had an internal fuel pump. So that's great because now all of a sudden it's quiet. The old fuel pump was a Holly blue, maybe a red, I don't remember, and it was loud, but this new one, nice and quiet. Ever since that's been done, it's been phenomenal. I only put about 100 miles on it before winter hit, and we had to put it away. This is my third drive of the spring of 2025, and if I put my foot in it, it flat out takes off and goes, and it does not buck or anything like that. It doesn't starve for fuel, and there's less than a half a tank of fuel in here. So I really feel good about where it is. Just looking forward to enjoying it.
The other big thing we did, and there's videos out there on my channel on this, is after we got the LS done, and even before the Go Fast guys tuned it, it was like driving around a 400 horse couch or a 400 horse living room. You know, you floated through all the corners, and it really didn't feel very safe. So I got with Boris and Street Machinery down in Ohio, ordered up a Ride Tech 4-link coilover suspension. I installed that. There's a couple videos on that again, check them out. And it made all the difference. That, and then some new tires and wheels. And this thing's pretty much done in my book. I'm very, very excited about it. It runs beautifully. We're looking forward to some good road trips in it this summer. The only thing left to do really is get the air conditioning hooked up. Everything's in there, the vintage air's in. It's just not hooked up and charged. That's out of my wheelhouse. I don't know how to do that, so I'll get somebody to do that. Like all these projects, it took longer than I anticipated. It cost more money than I hoped it would cost, but I'm really, really pleased with the end result. And I know that in a 55 Bel Air, that increased the value far more than my cost to put it in. And there are certainly less expensive ways you can do this swap. You don't have to have the engine rebuilt. You don't have to have the transmission rebuilt. You don't have to put a fancy intake on it. You don't have to move the coils out. You know, I did a lot of that stuff because it's a 55 Bel Air and I want to pop the hood and have people go, whoa, that's cool. And that was just part of the gig that I was going for. But there's certainly less expensive ways to do it. Bottom line is, for me, it's well worth it. I'm excited about it and really just looking forward to putting a whole bunch of miles on this thing as long as I own it, which I think will be a long time.